Losing someone you love is one of the most painful experiences life can present. It's an emotional earthquake that shakes the foundation of your existence, leaving you feeling broken, lost, and hollow. However, there is hope and a way forward. In this video, we'll explore the process of healing yourself after the loss of a loved one, the steps you can take to cope, and how to eventually find peace and meaning in life again. Firstly, understanding grief. Grief is a universal experience that everyone will go through at some point in life, but it manifests differently for each person. Grief is not only about the emotional pain, it also affects us mentally, physically, and spiritually. When someone we love passes away, the emotions can be overwhelming. You may feel sadness, anger, confusion, and even physical discomfort. This reaction is part of our brain and heart, trying to process something that seems impossible to accept. For some, grief might feel like a sudden storm that takes them by surprise, whereas for others, it's a slow, creeping sadness. Regardless of how it begins, it's important to understand that grief is a natural response to loss, and it should be acknowledged rather than suppressed. The process of grieving isn't about moving on, it's about adapting to a life without that person. There's no right or wrong way to grieve, and the timeline varies from person to person. Some might start feeling better after a few months, while others could take years to fully come to terms with their loss. There's no rush, and healing is not a linear process. The stages of grief. In 1969, psychiatrist Elizabeth Kubler-Ross introduced the 5 stages of grief in her book On Death and Dying. Although not everyone goes through these stages in the same order or experiences all of them, they provide a helpful framework to understand what might be happening internally. 1. Denial. In the immediate aftermath of loss, denial is often the first stage of grief. This is our mind's way of shielding us from the full force of the emotional impact. We might tell ourselves, "This can't be happening," or "They aren't really gone." It's a defense mechanism that allows us to survive the initial shock. In the denial stage, you may feel emotionally numb. This is not because you don't care, but because your body is protecting you from feeling too much all at once. For some people, denial can last hours or days, while for others it might persist for weeks. During this time, you might avoid talking about your loved one or facing the reality of the situation. Personal story. Denial. Consider Sarah, who lost her husband to a sudden heart attack. For weeks after his death, Sarah would still set a place for him at the dinner table, unable to fully grasp that he wouldn't be walking through the door. She described it as living in a dreamlike state, hoping she would wake up and everything would go back to normal. It was only after the funeral, when the house felt unbearably empty, that reality began to set in for her. 2. Anger. Once the denial begins to fade, anger often emerges. This can be anger at yourself, others, or even the loved one who passed away. You might find yourself asking, "Why did they leave me?" or "How could this happen?" This anger is a natural part of the healing process. It's the emotion that surfaces when we realize how much we've lost and how unfair the situation feels. Anger might also be directed at doctors, the healthcare system, or even your faith. It's not uncommon to feel resentment towards others who haven't experienced a similar loss, wondering how they can go about their daily lives while your world has been shattered. These feelings of anger, though painful, are necessary for healing, as they help release the pent-up energy that grief creates. Managing anger through mindful practices. During this stage, it can help to channel your anger in constructive ways. Practices like journaling, physical exercise, or even creative outlets such as painting or playing music can help manage this intense emotion. Remember, anger is not bad, it's simply a natural response to grief. You don't need to suppress it, but it's important to express it in ways that don't harm yourself or others. 3. Bargaining. In the bargaining stage, your mind tries to regain control of the situation by imagining different outcomes. You might think, "If only I had done this differently, they might still be alive." Bargaining is often accompanied by feelings of guilt as you replay moments leading up to your loved one's passing. Bargaining is the brain's way of trying to make sense of the loss. It seeks reasons or ways to reverse what happened. While these thoughts can be painful, they're also a reflection of how much we cared for the person we lost. Overcoming guilt in bargaining. To overcome feelings of guilt during this phase, it's important to practice self-compassion. Understand that you did the best you could with the information you had at the time. Hindsight may give you a different perspective, but you are not to blame for the loss. Consider writing a letter to yourself, forgiving yourself for any feelings of guilt or self-blame that have surfaced during the grieving process. 4. Depression. Depression in grief is not the same as clinical depression, but it can be just as debilitating. During this stage, the reality of the loss begins to settle in, and the deep sadness sets in. You might feel as if life has lost its meaning, that nothing will ever be the same again, or that you'll never experience happiness. It's common to feel a sense of emptiness during this stage. Simple tasks may feel overwhelming, and you might struggle with sleeping, eating, or even getting out of bed. While this stage is incredibly painful, it's important to understand that it's a natural part of the grieving process. Coping strategies for the depression stage. Allow yourself to lean into the sadness when it comes, but also recognize when it's time to seek help. If your feelings of depression linger for an extended period, or you feel as though you're sinking deeper into despair, professional support from a counselor or therapist can help. Taking small steps, such as establishing a daily routine or getting outside for fresh air, can help ease some of the heaviness. 5. Acceptance. Acceptance is not about being okay with the loss, but rather recognizing that life will move forward in a different way. In this stage, you begin to adjust to a new reality. You start to make peace with the fact that your loved one is no longer physically present, but their memory will always be with you. Acceptance doesn't mean you no longer feel the pain of loss. Instead, it signals a shift toward understanding that life will continue, and you have the capacity to find joy and purpose again. This stage often involves integrating the loss into your life in a meaningful way, such as by keeping certain traditions alive, creating a memorial, or living in a way that honors your loved one's memory. Cultural and religious interpretations of grief. Different cultures and religions have their own ways of interpreting and dealing with grief. These traditions can provide comfort, structure, and support to those grieving, offering rituals that help mark the transition from loss to healing. For example, in many Western cultures, funerals are held soon after death, and the grieving process is often viewed through the lens of the 5 stages of grief. However, other cultures have vastly different perspectives. In Hinduism, the concept of karma and reincarnation plays a significant role in understanding death. Death is seen as a natural part of the cycle of life, and the belief in rebirth can provide comfort, as it offers the idea that the soul continues its journey. In Jewish culture, the practice of sitting Shiva involves gathering with friends and family to honor the deceased for 7 days. This communal support provides an immediate network of comfort for those grieving. In the Buddhist tradition, there is a focus on the impermanence of life and the inevitability of death. Meditating on death is a practice that helps people come to terms with mortality, both their own and that of others. By recognizing and understanding the different ways cultures approach grief, you can find rituals or practices that resonate with you, even if they are outside your immediate cultural background. Secondly, the healing process begins with self-compassion. Why self-compassion is key. When you lose a loved one, it's common to experience a wave of emotions, and it's easy to be harsh on yourself during this time. You might find yourself thinking, "I should have done more," or "I should be handling this better." This inner criticism often arises from a place of guilt or a desire to control the uncontrollable. Self-compassion is the antidote to these feelings. It involves treating yourself with the same kindness, understanding, and patience that you would offer a dear friend. When we're grieving, it's easy to overlook our own needs in the chaos of emotions. But learning to be gentle with yourself is a vital step in the healing process. One of the first steps to practicing self-compassion is to realize that grief is not something you can get over quickly or easily. There's no timeline for when you should feel better. Everyone grieves in their own time, and it's important to give yourself the space to heal at your own pace. Recognizing the need for self-compassion. Many people believe that being strong means pushing through their emotions, burying their feelings, or trying to distract themselves with work or other activities. However, this can prolong the grieving process and lead to more intense feelings of isolation and emotional exhaustion. The first step in being self-compassionate is to acknowledge that it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling, whether it's anger, sadness, confusion, or even moments of relief. All these emotions are valid and part of the grieving process. Self-compassion means allowing yourself to experience these emotions without judgment. Practical exercise. Self-compassion. Check-in. To practice self-compassion during grief, start by conducting a daily self-check-in. Take 5 minutes each day to sit quietly and ask yourself, how am I feeling today? What emotions are present for me right now? How can I be kind to myself in this moment? By taking the time to notice your emotions, you'll begin to cultivate a more compassionate relationship with yourself. You can even keep a self-compassion journal, noting moments when you were kind to yourself or when you struggled to show yourself compassion. Acknowledging your emotions without judgment. One of the biggest challenges during grief is learning to accept the flood of emotions without trying to judge or suppress them. Society often teaches us to be strong in the face of loss, but that can sometimes translate into bottling up feelings or trying to put on a brave face. But grief is messy. It's unpredictable. And sometimes emotions will rise when you least expect them. Instead of viewing these emotions as inconvenient or embarrassing, practice accepting them as they are. This is the foundation of emotional self-awareness, a key aspect of self-compassion. The fear of emotions. Many people are afraid of truly feeling their grief because they worry it will overwhelm them or that they'll never stop crying once they start. But emotions are like waves. They rise, crest, and eventually fall. Suppressing them only causes the waves to become more intense over time. By acknowledging and allowing yourself to feel emotions as they arise, you let the waves flow naturally. Mindfulness meditation for emotional awareness. Mindfulness meditation is a powerful tool to help you become more aware of your emotions without judgment. Try this simple mindfulness exercise. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, focusing on the sensation of air entering and leaving your body. As thoughts and emotions arise, observe them without labeling them as good or bad. Simply notice them and let them pass like clouds in the sky. If you begin to feel overwhelmed, return to your breath as an anchor, reminding yourself that it's okay to feel whatever comes up. Mindfulness teaches you that emotions, like grief, are temporary. By acknowledging them without trying to fix them, you begin to heal. Practicing self-care in grief. Grief can take a toll not just on your mind and heart, but also on your body. Many people experience physical symptoms of grief such as fatigue, insomnia, changes in appetite, and even physical aches and pains. This is a sign that your body is carrying the weight of emotional pain. Self-care is not a luxury during this time. It's a necessity. Taking care of your physical and emotional well-being during grief helps you maintain the strength needed to heal. While you may feel overwhelmed and exhausted, small acts of self-care can make a big difference. Physical self-care. Sleep. Grief can make it difficult to sleep. You might find yourself waking up in the middle of the night with thoughts racing through your mind. Creating a nighttime routine can help your body recognize when it's time to rest. Try turning off screens at least an hour before bed, dimming the lights, and engaging in relaxing activities like reading or listening to calming music. Exercise. Physical movement is one of the best ways to release tension from the body. Even gentle forms of exercise like walking or yoga can help ease the physical symptoms of grief. It's not about pushing yourself to achieve fitness goals, but rather about moving your body to feel better emotionally. Nutrition. Grief can lead to changes in appetite, either eating too much or too little. It's important to nourish your body during this time, even if you don't feel like eating. Focus on small, nutrient-dense meals, and drink plenty of water. Your body needs nourishment to support the healing process. Emotional self-care. Set boundaries. During grief, it's common to feel overwhelmed by well-meaning friends and family who want to offer support. While their intentions are good, it's important to set boundaries that protect your emotional energy. If you need time alone or don't feel like talking, it's okay to communicate that. Give yourself time. Healing from grief doesn't follow a schedule. You might feel pressure to get back to normal or return to your daily responsibilities, but it's important to give yourself the time you need to process your emotions. If that means taking a break from certain activities or responsibilities, do so without guilt. Creative outlets. Grief can often feel like an uncontainable flood of emotion. One way to process these emotions is through creative outlets. Writing, painting, or even gardening can provide a sense of expression and release during difficult times. The importance of asking for help. One of the most difficult aspects of grieving is recognizing that you don't have to go through it alone. Many people feel a sense of isolation after losing a loved one, even when surrounded by friends and family. This is often because grief is so personal and unique that it's hard to articulate what you're feeling. But asking for help is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. Seeking support from others, whether it's friends, family, or professionals, can help you navigate the emotional ups and downs of grief. Many people struggle with the idea of burdening others with their feelings, but loved ones genuinely want to be there for you. Communicating your needs. It's common for friends and family to want to help, but they may not know how to. Be honest about your needs. If you need someone to listen, tell them. If you need space, communicate that too. Clear communication allows others to support you in the way you need. Professional help. Sometimes the intensity of grief requires more than just the support of friends and family. Grief counselors and therapists are trained to help you process your loss in a healthy way. They can provide coping strategies, offer a safe space to express your emotions, and guide you through the difficult stages of grief. Grief support groups. Joining a grief support group can provide a sense of community during a time when you might feel incredibly isolated. Being with others who understand the pain of loss can offer comfort and validation. These groups provide a safe environment to share your feelings and listen to others who are on a similar journey. Third, honoring the memory of your loved one, keeping their spirit alive. Honoring the memory of a loved one is an important part of the healing process. It allows us to maintain a connection to the person we've lost and continue feeling their presence in our lives. Keeping their spirit alive doesn't mean dwelling on the past, but finding meaningful ways to remember them that bring comfort and peace. Grief can sometimes make it feel like we need to let go of the person in order to move forward, but the opposite is often true. Instead of trying to forget, focus on how you can incorporate their memory into your life in a way that honors their impact and keeps their spirit close to your heart. This approach helps you heal while still maintaining a connection with your loved one. Personal traditions. Creating personal traditions is one of the most powerful ways to keep the memory of your loved one alive. These traditions don't need to be grand. They can be small, intimate moments that remind you of the bond you shared. For example, lighting a candle each evening to symbolize their presence, visiting a favorite spot that you both enjoyed, whether it's a park, a beach, or a restaurant, and taking a moment to reflect on your memories. Cooking a favorite meal of your loved one on special occasions, or simply whenever you want to feel connected to them. These traditions become a way to maintain a connection, allowing you to continue your life while holding their memory close. Storytelling. One of the most meaningful ways to honor the memory of a loved one is through storytelling. Sharing stories about the person you've lost, whether with friends, family, or even writing them down helps keep their memory alive. You can write a memoir or journal about your loved one, documenting the life they lived, the lessons they taught you, and the beautiful moments you shared. Tell their story to others, passing on the values they held dear, the love they gave, and the impact they made on your life. This not only keeps their memory alive, but also allows others to know them through your eyes. Storytelling is a way to celebrate their life rather than just focus on the loss. Memory boxes or shrines. Some people find comfort in creating a physical space in their home dedicated to their loved one. This could be in the form of a memory box, where you keep special mementos, letters, photographs, or personal items that remind you of the person. Alternatively, you could create a small shrine or memorial space in your home. This might include photos of your loved one, candles, flowers, or items that were special to them, notes or letters where you express your thoughts and feelings. Having this space can provide a tangible way to feel close to your loved one, especially during difficult moments. Personal story. Memory shrine. After losing her father, Emily created a small corner in her living room dedicated to his memory. She placed his old watch, a book he used to read, and a picture of him smiling on a shelf. Whenever she missed him, she would sit near the shrine and talk to him as if he were there. It gave her a sense of peace, knowing that his presence was still felt in her daily life. Creating a legacy. When a loved one passes away, they leave behind a legacy that transcends their physical presence. Honoring this legacy can be a powerful way to not only remember them, but also to contribute to the world in a way that reflects the values and passions they held dear. By focusing on their legacy, you transform your grief into something meaningful and impactful. Living their values. One of the most profound ways to honor someone's memory is by living in alignment with the values they held dear. Ask yourself, what did they stand for? What were they passionate about? How can you incorporate those qualities into your own life? For example, if your loved one was passionate about helping others, you could volunteer or donate to causes they supported. If they valued kindness and compassion, you could make a conscious effort to be kind in your interactions with others, continuing the spirit of their generosity. By embodying their values in your daily life, you ensure that their spirit lives on through your actions. Philanthropy in their name. Another way to honor a loved one's legacy is by contributing to the world in their name. This could involve setting up a scholarship fund in their memory to help others pursue their education, donating to a charity that aligns with causes they were passionate about, organizing an event or fundraiser in their honor, with the proceeds going to a cause that mattered to them. Philanthropy allows you to turn grief into action, ensuring that their memory has a lasting impact on others. Creative memorials. For those who enjoy creative pursuits, there are countless ways to memorialize your loved one through art, music, or writing. You could create a painting or sculpture in their memory, reflecting their essence or the bond you shared. Compose a song that honors their life and the emotions you've experienced during your grieving process. Write a poem or short story that celebrates their life and legacy. These creative outlets not only help you process your emotions, but also provide a lasting tribute to the person you lost. Personal story, creative memorial. When John lost his best friend to cancer, he struggled to find a way to cope with the loss. John had always been a musician, so he decided to channel his grief into writing a song about their friendship. The process of writing, playing, and recording the song became a form of therapy for him, and it also allowed him to share the memory of his friend with others in a way that felt meaningful and healing. Writing letters or journaling. One of the most therapeutic ways to process grief and honor the memory of your loved one is through writing. Whether it's writing letters to the person who passed away or keeping a grief journal, this practice allows you to express emotions that may feel too overwhelming to verbalize. Letter. Writing to your loved one. Writing letters to your loved one is a way to maintain an emotional connection even after they're gone. In these letters, you can express things you didn't have the chance to say, Share your feelings about their absence, or simply reflect on your memories together. Some people choose to write letters on special occasions such as birthdays, anniversaries, or holidays, while others make it a regular practice. You can share how you're feeling without them. Talk about things happening in your life that you wish you could discuss with them. Express love, anger, or even unresolved emotions that you've been carrying. These letters don't need to be shared with anyone. They are simply for you, a way to continue the conversation and keep the connection alive. Journaling your grief journey. Grief journaling is a practice that allows you to track your emotions and healing over time. By writing about your experiences, you gain clarity and perspective on your grief. It also helps you notice patterns in your emotional journey, which can be empowering during such a turbulent time. In your grief journal, you might explore how you're feeling on a day-to-day basis, what triggers certain emotions or memories, positive steps you've taken in your healing process, moments of insight or peace that come as you move through your grief. Over time, journaling helps you reflect on your progress and serves as a reminder that healing, though slow, is happening. Personal story. Journaling for healing. When Maria lost her mother, she felt lost in a sea of emotions. She started a grief journal, writing every morning about how she felt. Some days her entries were filled with sadness and longing, while other days she found herself remembering happy times. As the weeks went on, Maria noticed that her entries slowly shifted from feelings of deep sorrow to memories that brought her peace. Journaling became a vital part of her healing process, and she continues to write to this day, celebrating milestones and anniversaries. Significant dates such as birthdays, anniversaries, or the anniversary of your loved one's passing can be particularly difficult after a loss. However, these dates can also be an opportunity to honor your loved one in a special way. Creating new traditions. Celebrating your loved one on important dates helps keep their memory alive in a positive, meaningful way. Consider creating new traditions that reflect their personality or what they enjoyed. Some ideas include hosting a gathering with friends and family where you share stories and memories of your loved one, taking a trip to a place they loved or that holds special meaning, planting a tree or garden in their honor, symbolizing life and growth in their memory. These rituals help you focus on the joy they brought into your life, rather than only the sadness of their passing. Reflecting on their life. On significant dates, take time to reflect on the life your loved one lived. You can do this in a quiet moment by yourself or as part of a family tradition. Write a letter to them, visit a place that was important to them, or engage in an activity you used to do together. These moments of reflection can bring comfort and allow you to feel their presence even after they're gone. Fourth, seeking support and allowing others to help you. Why you don't have to do this alone. Grief is deeply personal, but you don't have to walk this journey on your own. Allowing others to support you can be one of the most healing steps you can take. Whether it's family, friends, or support groups, connection with others helps to alleviate the burden of grief. The role of a support system. Those who care about you want to help, but they may not know how. Be open with your feelings and communicate your needs. Let your support system know when you need space and when you need company. Grief counseling and professional help. Grief can become overwhelming, and sometimes professional help is necessary. Grief counselors can offer strategies for managing the emotional intensity of your loss. They can also provide a safe space to express your emotions and find meaning through the healing process. Joining support groups. Support groups, whether in person or online, offer a community of people who understand what you're going through. Sharing your story and hearing others' stories can help you feel less alone. It reminds you that while grief is unique, the experience of loss is universal. Fifth, finding new meaning and purpose. Moving forward without letting go. As you heal, you may find yourself grappling with the question of how to move forward without letting go of your loved one. Moving forward is about finding a new normal and living in a way that honors their memory. while also allowing yourself to grow. Rediscovering joy. It's possible to experience joy again after loss. It won't come all at once, and it might feel wrong at first. But allow yourself moments of happiness without guilt. It's okay to laugh, to smile, and to enjoy life while still grieving. Developing new interests. Sometimes loss inspires us to explore new interests or passions. Whether it's taking up a new hobby, volunteering, or even changing career paths, these new pursuits can help you reconnect with life in meaningful ways. Spirituality and grief. For many, loss can lead to questions of spirituality. Whether you have a strong faith or are seeking answers, spirituality can provide comfort and a sense of peace. It can offer the understanding that your loved one's spirit lives on and that you are connected to something greater than yourself. Sixth, the power of time and patience. Why healing takes time. Grief isn't something that can be rushed. Healing is a long process, and it doesn't follow a strict timeline. Everyone grieves at their own pace, and that's okay. It's important to have patience with yourself and your emotions. Finding peace in time. Over time, the sharpness of grief softens. It may never go away completely, but it becomes easier to carry. Give yourself permission to take as much time as you need, knowing that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means learning to live with the loss in a healthy way. Progress over perfection. There will be days when you feel like you've taken 2 steps forward, only to take 1 step back. This is normal. Healing is not a straight line. Celebrate small victories, and don't expect perfection in your recovery process. As you walk through the journey of grief, remember this: healing is not about forgetting the one you lost, but about finding a way to live in their honor. You are not alone in this journey. Reach out for support when you need it and take your time as you heal. Your loved one's memory lives on in your heart, in your actions, and in the way you continue to move forward. Honor them by living fully and by finding peace in your pain. If you found this video helpful, please share it with others who may be grieving. Don't forget to subscribe and hit notification bell to our channel for more videos on healing, personal growth, and finding peace after loss. Together, we can support each other through the hardest times and come out stronger on the other side. Healing is possible, and though it may seem impossible now, there will come a day when you can think of your loved one with more smiles than tears. Be kind to yourself, be patient, and take 1 step at a time.